So let me give a quick overview. Um, we tried ArrayList, which is a collection class available inside the system.collections namespace. And when we created the object of ArrayList class, that allowed us 3 features out of 4. Okay, that number is better to remember, and you will not forget to explain during interview as well. 3 out of 4. So 4 already we have mentioned 4 advantages of collections, but 3 advantages only our array list was able to give. Which was not able to give? Index manipulation versus key value pair manipulation. That was not be able to provided by array list. So another category of you know group of classes are there. Out of that, maximum used is hash table. So hash table says, I will offer you what your array list is offering. Additionally, I will offer you that fourth advantage is called index based manipulation versus key value pair manipulation. Now question mark is, what's wrong with index based manipulation so that somebody should go for key value pair manipulation? Wrong with index based manipulation is, if by chance the position of that value, okay, position when we say index, so position of that value changes either top to bottom or bottom to top, or either due to ascending, descending, removing some element. If I will remove fifth element, sixth element automatically goes up. Now index changed. So for any manipulation, chances are there to change the index of a particular value. That's why we are not able to trust on the index. So is there any way where I will only send my kind of serial number or some key? It may be anything. It may be somebody's email address. It may be somebody's mobile number. It may be somebody's roll number. It may be somebody's employee ID, but should be unique. Obviously, should be unique. If two people are having same key, then how will I identify them? Just like two people are having same roll number in the class. That's why key should be unique, you know, but should be something which is easily identifiable to that particular value. So that benefit we will get is, if that value is going up or down, then key will also go up or down along with this. Let the index change, I don't bother, because we are not depending anymore on the indexes. We have to depend fully on the key. That is where we decided last class to go for one hash table. Now proceeding further, hash table declaration, hash table initialization of the value, we already did last class. Today what we will do, just like our array list manipulation we did, remove some value, then see what happens, display those values, see what happens. So that kind of manipulations also we will be doing using hash table. Again, I will tell you, in current strategy, we have achieved something better than hash table also. When we went to hash table, we say something better than array list, but we have already achieved something better than hash table, which is called generic collections. Okay, so we will go to that. But anyway, it is our duty to understand all generations: variable, array, array list, hash table, then comes generic collection. So how to manipulate the data in hash table? So first let me remove, just like array list we removed one element, then we checked how much. So what I will do, why not I will copy paste it. Here also I will copy paste exactly same thing. Then instead of that array list name, I will use hash table name. See what are the changes required here. Before removal of index 1, here I will write, before removal of Kunal, okay, total number of, what I have written, total number of total number of elements in the collection. This is also a collection only. Hash table is also collection only. Let it be collection. Here what should I write? I will say hs names dot count. Here I will say hs names. There is nothing called remove at. Why? Because there is no index based manipulation. You will say remove only, and whatever you are giving, it will understand it is the reference. Have a look. If you put a bracket, you can easily understand. What it is asking you? It is asking you just give key. Key means unique identifier. Value means value. Name is Amit. His unique identifier is 1007. It may be roll number, it may be his phone number, it may be his house number, I don't know. Something unique which doesn't contain by other student or other name. That is what the idea. So I gave please delete 100. What does it mean? Please delete entire row 100. Means row 100 as well as Kunal both will be deleted. Then I will say console.writeLine. After removal of Kunal, the number of elements in the collection is so and so. Makes sense? Any confusion? Exactly what we did with array list, I want to do same thing with hash table, so that you can compare and understand that acha, if Kunal is 100, whatever you do, take it up, take it down, this is going to be 100 only. Like just now I am going to delete Kunal's 100 as well as Kunal, that entire row. It doesn't make any impact to Amit also. Or suppose you want to delete Amit. Usually what happens? If I will delete Amit, Kunal will go to this position, right? 10th element if you are deleting, 11th element will go to top. Not that 9th element will come down. Remember. So better why not we will delete this Amit guy. So 1007. That will give you more idea. So I will say before deleting Amit what, after deleting Amit what. Okay. Now console.writeLine, remaining values in hash table after removal of Amit is so and so. So I have to use this HS names instead of student info. Don't you think so? But here you have to mention that I want to loop through key or I want to loop through value. This time we are looping through value, right? Because our intention is not to display 1100, 200, 500. Our intention is to display Amit, Kunal, etc. If you want, you can display both also, guys. That also I will tell you. So this time I want to display only value, suppose Amit, Kunal, etc. So then you have to set dot values. Okay. So let's first run this program. Then I will tell you how to display both key as well as value. Okay. So copy this, comment this function, use this, and console.read key. Okay, so if you want to put a breakpoint here, if you want to understand how it is behaving and all. It came here. As of now, if you will check, HS names will be null only because you have not executed the line number 43. So F10, I executed line number 43. That means at least count is 0. That means value has not been assigned, but at least it reserved its memory location in the random access memory. But as of now, it has not got any value. Then it came to line number 44. Then I gave 2 values. Then suddenly it will say, hey, I have 2 count. That means I have 2 values, Amit and Kunal. Okay. Previously in array list, left side part it was showing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now it is no more showing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because it's hash table. Hash table says, I will not offer you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You only offer me what identification you want for that guy. So when I'm saying now remove 1007, it will not just remove 1007, it will remove whole row for 1007. So first I will show before removal, it will show count 2. You can see here, it will show count 2. Then I will remove that Amit because Amit's roll number is 1007. Then I will execute this line. I'm expecting here 1. Okay. Before removal 2, after removal 1. Perfectly fine. Now you want to display it. Whether 2 values are there, 5 values are there, 10 values are there, or even 1 value is there. Your for each loop will execute for that. So if it is only 1 value, it will execute only once. When again it will go up, it will say no more value. So it displayed Kunal because only Kunal is remaining. Now what I will do, I said I will show you how to display both. Okay, value as well as key. So I will comment for a moment this one and I will copy paste this one because both is not required, right? So remaining key value pair in hash table after removal of Amit is, okay, this time you don't need to have dot value. You have to say dot key. Dot keys, that means your key can give you value. That's you take dot key and here you say each key, and here what you say hs names square bracket, like just like array. Okay, array of 0, array of 1, like that you are mentioning. Here you say hs names of each key, because this time when loop will run, if it is 1007 or 1008, that each key value, each key itself will be 1008. In our case it is 100. When loop will run, this value will be 100. Now hs names of 100 means hs names of 100 means Kunal. This is called value part. Now suppose I want to display key part, then why don't you make a sentence like this? Key is 0 and value is 1. So for key part I will say only each key, and for value part I will say hs names of each key. Makes sense? So let's run it now, see what happens. We don't need to debug now, we have already debugged it. So simply we will run it. I'm expecting it should say key is 100 and value is Kunal. Last line you read. So if you want both, then second syntax. If you want only value, then first syntax. So let me write that hint also here. If you want only value based manipulations, then this is the syntax. If you want both key value pair based manipulation or both key value pair to display, then this is the syntax. Okay, so any question guys? Able to compare array list, its offering, similarly hash table and its offering. There are some functions apart from add and remove guys. Okay, if you will put a dot, whether array list or whether hash table, if you'll put a dot like this, not only add and remove, you will get couple of more functions also like this. Okay. We will not do this. Reason is, as I said, already our programming generation has gone beyond this level called generic collection. So in generic collection also same functions will come. Okay. So first I will teach you generic collection, then these functions we will see there, because nobody uses collection nowadays, to be very frank, because generic collection is offering better advantages than collections. So same function list only, why should we learn here? Why not in generic collection? Okay. So here we are not going to learn any additional function. If you want, you can do yourself, but in generic collection we will apply more functions. Copy, clone, find, replace, search, anything, sort ascending, sort descending, many functions are there you can use, but directly we will be using in generic collection. So let's start now. What is the advantages of generic collection over collection? Conceptual part first, then we will implement practically generic collection. So generic collection are not a separate chapter, you can say it is a collection only, but a special type of collection. So I will write heading as generic collection. Okay, before going to that, let me tell you, just like our array list and hash table, we have many more classes available in system dot collections. Another some 10 to 12 classes are also there, I will tell you. When generic collection was not there, that time people are using array list and hash table, but now array list and hash table also not being used much. But yeah, I said apart from these two, more classes are there. Either they will fall under the array list category, that means 3 advantages, no key value pair, or they will fall under the hash table, which is called key value pair. So example, there is a class called sorted list. Okay, hints exactly like array list. What do you mean? Indexed based, exactly like array list, but automatically sorts the value. Sorts means order, ascending descending. So sorts the values, we add, okay, or we insert as ascending order. Okay, like imagine you entered go to our program, you entered 90, then you entered 76, then you entered Amit. Your array list will not do any sorting and all automatically. It will say 0th element you entered 90, I will keep 0 element 90, as long as manually you are not doing any manipulation. So in which order you are entering, in that order only it will be keeping the data. But sorted list, exactly everything matching with array list only. One additional benefit is, after you enter the data, it will automatically make that object ascending, just like dictionary. Okay, our dictionary means our book dictionary I'm talking about, not technical word dictionary, because in generic collection there is something called dictionary also. I'm not talking about that. English word dictionary I'm talking about. So like in your Oxford dictionary you have ascending order of data. Similarly, sorted list is just providing that facility additional, but exactly same like array list. You can try yourself. We don't need to put any efforts for this much. Just one round you can try yourself that how it is behaving, because you have already gone beyond this to another level called generic collection. Something called bit array. These are all commonly used collection names before, you can say, 15 years or 10 years. Not now. Still little bit idea we should have. Bit array only stores Boolean values. Category is same as hash table. Okay. Category is same as hash table. That means key value pair. What is the key? Value is either true or false. What is the key? Value is either true or false, like that. All other rules and regulations, everything same as hash table only. Only difference is bit array is used for only one data type, that is Boolean. Now you'll ask me where they were using before. Currently mostly they don't use. In fact, in embedded technology still they are using microprocessor design and all that. Bit array is storing only Boolean. That means when you say true, they are treating as something called 1. When it is false, they are treating as something called 0, or sometimes on and off. Suppose they are using for a microprocessor design, there will be a number of circuits. So one logical gate is true, one logical gate is false. This kind of tracking they do with the help of something called bit array. So, but okay, in generic collection also we have this facility in a better manner. So, but still, if you want to try one round, that's why I'm just giving some hints. You can yourself try. Just like hash table only the keyword name is bit array, and restriction is it will have only and only Boolean data. Okay. Now come to stack and queue. There is a class called stack. These are also collection class only, and one class called queue. Queue. Okay. Stack is just like hash table only. Okay, because hash table is better than array list. That's why maximum classes you will find in the collection namespace of hash table category. They will say you give your own key and you handle it. No need to depend upon the index. But sorted list and array list both are depending upon the index only. So stack and queue both are all STSCK. Huh? Both are of hash table category, but used for some special purpose. The nodes what I have shared in collections, all these sorted list, bit array, stack and queue examples will be there. You can go through that because it's almost 90% matching with your either array list or hash table. So I don't want to waste time behind that in classroom. You can yourself go through that notes, and if any doubt you have, you can get back. So stack says, but not necessary to take much seriously these things, because as I said, we have gone one step beyond this in generic collection. But just for the sake of interview and all, somebody may ask you old things. If any much experienced people will be sitting there, he himself might not be much aware about new things. His experience might have total in collections, and now he is a manager or so. In that level, he might not be very much strongly attached with coding, so he may throw some question from collections, because that time for them it was a big thing, so you have to prepare accordingly also. So stack and queue, uh, first in first out, last in first out, LIFO. This is FIFO. Those people are uh, computer science background, they must be knowing this in colleges, when they might have taught you linked list or any uh, you know tree. uh, there also you are following stack and queue logic, right? But okay, I assume you don't know anything. So stack follows up LIFO, last in first out, and queue follows up first in first out. That means, uh, suppose your business requirement says, whatever last value I entered, I should manipulate it, I should start manipulating from that value, and whatever I entered at the very beginning, that I want to manipulate, estimate the last. If that is the case, then preferably you should go for stack. That means, what do you understand? Simply like this: stack, let's say, last in first out, right? So I can say, bucket equal to new stack. I have a bucket, okay? I created the object of stack. I have a bucket. In bucket, if you are putting coins, last coin what you put, you have to pick it first, right? Coin or plate, suppose you have some 10 plates you want to put inside a bucket. So first plate you put, then second plate you put, third plate you put, fourth plate you put. Now somebody is saying, now pick the plates from the bucket. So which plate you will pick it first? Last plate only. So some business requirement may be like that. Queue, suppose think that, in a bus stop people are standing. Whoever got serial number 1, he will go first. Whoever got serial number 2, he will go second. Whoever goes serial number 3, he will go third. So that is like a first in first out queue. So based on your business requirement, like suppose I will give one example: railway reservation, railway booking. 100 people are booking from different places. In microsecond only, you can say button click, difference came. They keep it in a queue. So who will be served first? Whoever came first into the queue. So that is called, queue. Queue means first in first out. So based on your requirement only, they will behave. Apart from this, all the technical activity is exactly same as your hash table only. You have to give the key, you have to give the value, and which value went first, that will be treated first. Which value went later, that will be treated later. So that will little increase your speed of the process, if you have followed stack and queue. If you have followed general sorted list or your array list or hash table, then explicitly they don't say this is the technique. They will say, whichever key you will give, that value I will give. You don't ask me last in first out or first in first last out, first in first out. Okay. So that is how they little differ, and I have given example also for stack and queue in the notes. You can go through that. If any doubt, you can get back. So generic collection we are now going for. What is the overall advantage of generic collection? If somebody asks in a single sentence, you say, why should I go for generic collection? Why not collection? Last 2 days you explained us collection is better comparing to array, and suddenly you are saying generic collection is better. What's wrong with collection still? Okay. What can be better in generic collection? Let me open Excel sheet. when something conceptual came, Excel sheet is helping us so much, right? Memory management. So let's understand it. I said first was variable, array, array list, hash table. Still what pending? So that you are saying something better. We have already proceeded up to fourth levels of using, storing the data. Still what is remaining? Where we are, missing? We are going better ultimately towards what, guys? Towards a relational concept between the data. Single data has gone. Variable was single data. Here onwards itself we started multiple data. Don't you think so? Here onwards we have started to handle multiple data. Store it, remove it, replace it, search it, find it, delete it, or display it, whatever it is, but multiple data. But whenever you are thinking multiple data, something comes to your mind is relationship between data. Whose roll number is 25? His name is Amit. Why you are keeping here? What's harm if you'll keep it here somewhere? Somebody will say, hey, if somebody else will keep here Anil, then somebody may understand 25 is for Anil. That's why better to keep this Amit here. That is array, array list, hash table. All these things, not array, but at least array list and hash table is offering us this facility, isn't it? 0 is the index, Amit is the name. Array list. 25 is the roll number, Amit is the name. Hash table. What's more we need? Yes, there is something to need more. Tomorrow somebody came here and started typing here Anil and here 26. Will your array list, this one I will make it some orange color, this green color. That means we have already reached better. Okay, so take it this way. This I will give something deeper. So hash table is better than array list, definitely, but still hash table or array list, both of them, they cannot stop me entering Anil here and 26 here. Now you compare it with your relational data concept. What do you mean? Database. Excel itself is a database. MS SQL Server is database. Oracle is database. So when you will say Oracle, MS Access, MS SQL Server, those are all called relational database management system. And at the end of this CSAR, what exactly our intention? We have to manipulate our data and store in the MS SQL Server database, or maybe in Oracle database, or maybe some database. So for your information, most of you must be knowing this. For your information, database always stores the data like this. Suppose I wrote here roll number, entire column should be roll number only. I wrote here name, entire column should be name only. I wrote here marks, entire column should be marks only. And I wrote here if result, this entire column should be result only. Relational data doesn't make any sense. Today you are writing roll number 1, name is AAA, marks is 78, result is pass, and tomorrow you are writing name is BBB, roll number is 1, result is failed, and marks is 34. That doesn't make any sense in the relational data concept. Remember, as long as relational data concept is concerned, two things you have to remember. One is column wise there should not be restriction that only 2 column is allowed or only 1 column is allowed or only 3 column is allowed. Row wise there should be some restriction that whichever row you are targeting, that row should be related information each other. It should not be like I wrote 78 here, but I'm saying no, I wrote it here 78, but actually it is marks of BBB. That is not permitted. How can you say 78 is marks of BBB? That is not permitted. This column wise also this kind of things not permitted. Ki today I am storing 1 below roll number, tomorrow I am storing BBB below roll number, and 1 or 2 roll number, 2 roll number below name, failed below marks, 34 below result. Understand this point. There is something called rows and columns. So row indicates record, column indicates field. Okay. Each row is called a record, each column is called a field. Combination of row and column is called table. Combination of table is called database. And all of them always in a relational manner, means which column you decided to store integer, that should not allow character. Data type point of view and value point of view, which column you decided roll number, that should not store name or marks or result or something. Both you have to think. Data type is okay. Somebody will say, hey, roll number is the integer, marks also integer. Yeah, so I will store here marks 89. Will it be okay? No, right? Here roll number 2, here marks 89. Somebody will say, if you are writing like this, then 89 will be treated as roll number and 2 will be treated as marks. Don't you think so? So rows and column rules and regulations, whatever I explained now, that will be applicable to relational data. But unfortunately, all of these 4, whatever you understood now, definitely going better comparing to previous. This was say first generation, this is second generation, say this is third generation, say this is fourth generation. But still we have not achieved any relational data concept in this 4th level also. No doubt in hash table, little bit we can say whose roll number is 25, his name is Jamit. Whose roll number is 26, his name is Sumit. Possible. But what if somebody entered key as Sumit here and value as 26 here? What if? Your hash table is not going to complain, because key is also object type, value is also object type. That means human error are not being detected by hash table and array list. What kind of human error? Relational data concept human error. What are the various mistakes people do? Defined as roll number, supplied as name. That is one kind of mistake. Second type of, that is called column level mistake. Second mistake, in column level only. Integer I declared, character I gave. Third mistake, row wise. 1 is roll number, but one's marks is 90, but I entered in second row. But 2's marks is 78, I entered in first row. That is also a mistake. So these are all mistake mostly welcome in hash table and array list, I mean to say. So technical way if you want to explain it, this is for understanding better, but technical way if you want to explain, type specific collection is called generic collection. What do you mean? Type specific in the sense, first of all relational data concept came. Second thing is type specific. Type specific means If you defined it as integer, I will not allow you character, string or something. Then you will ask me, sir, this kind of facility if an array was providing me, what's a big deal then here? Relational concept is the big deal here. If you define one array of 3 column, if you defined one array of 3 column, now I want strictly integer should be here, strictly string should be here, strictly decimal should be here. Can you do that? And I want to allow multiple column also. Your array will say, I will allow you multiple column, no issue. But if you declare it integer, all 3 columns will be integer. If you declare string, all 3 columns will be string. If you declare it object, somebody will be clever. He will say, hey, I will not declare integer or string or decimal. I will declare it an object so that I can store here 1, here Amit also. He will be clever. But thing is, relational data concept will not be applied here, there. That means for first guy you stored here 1 and here Amit because it's object array. But second guy, here you store Sumit and here you store 2 by mistake, and your object array is not going to detect also. So everything at a time we want to store more than one value. We want to store them in row wise and column wise. We want to allow multiple columns. We want to allow relational data concept. We want to restrict human errors. All these things at a time if you want. None of these 4 is going to offer you guys. Only and only generic collection. Okay. But in a single compacted definition, if you want to represent, it is type specific collection is called generic collection. So now let's go to Visual Studio and start implementing it. Since I have given that solution name as using collection, so what I will do, I will create one more solution and I will name it as generic collection. Topic wise, if I will tell you importance, as of now I have mentioned you interface, the most commonly used technique or feature of C# is interface, definitely. If I will say second most commonly used feature, then I will say generic collection, guys. So go for a solution, name it as using generic collection. And go for your own folder. So should I write here like this? Generic collection. I will give this further deep color green. That means if I want to communicate with database, which is a relational database management system, better to communicate using generic collection. If I'm bringing some data from database, your array also can store it, your array list can store it, your hash table can store it, as well as your generic collection can store it. But if you think about complete relational database management system in backend, and that data structure I'm bringing and storing somewhere in the C# object, then better to go for generic collection object, because how it is treating SQL Server table, with a relational concept, that's why we say it as RDBMS. Here also we have to treat as relational data management in the C#. That is in database, this is in front end. If I will say DBMS, array list and hash table is almost equal to DBMS in the backend. Guys, you know Excel is DBMS or RDBMS? Excel is database management system or relational database management system? It is a DBMS. Okay, it is a DBMS, because imagine you prepared one Excel sheet. Here you wrote roll number, here you wrote name, but somebody is entering here name and here roll number. Your Excel is not restricting. It's not saying this column is fully, you know, integer means integer, name, string means string, nothing like that. Some, you know, they have given some kind of patch solution. They will say, okay, you select it like this and give a format of something. That is kind of patch solution, you can say. It's not a restriction. But if you go to SQL Server, Oracle, etc., very first thing you have to define is table with structure. That means which column, what data type. Value and all you think later. First is designing of the table. So RDBMS, along with primary key, foreign key, many things they have added in the database side. Those things is not there in front end because it's not really a database. But idea is, if I'm bringing some data from database, out of these all elements, which is best fitting to hold those data is generic collection. Because row wise restriction, column wise restriction, row wise rules regulations, column wise rules regulations, these are being applied already. So how your database is having all the standards, rules, regulations, generic collection object also having those rules and regulations. That's why it's not that your hash table cannot store it, it's not that your array list cannot store it, but if somebody is doing some mistake, your hash table and array list is not going to tell you, because they say anything, anywhere, any data type is most welcome. But generic collection says multiple rows allowed, multiple columns allowed, but there is some standard. You have to define which column, what row, type, etc. I'm not considering variable and array at all, because they are not even DBMS. You know, they cannot even hold the DBMS data. Forget about RDBMS data. They cannot even hold the DBMS data. That means if somebody is sending this kind of data also, roll number somewhere, name somewhere, mark somewhere, result somewhere, no standard, nothing, that also cannot be achieved by array. It will say no, no, no. If you declare integer, everything should be integer, all the columns should be integer, and so on. So I'm not considering these two elements at all in today's discussion. But okay, when I say some data I am bringing from backend and want to keep it in the front end, all these three, array list, hash table, and generic collection, can do it. But array list and hash table says any data, any type, anywhere, any column, any row, I don't restrict from my side. If it is wrong, it is wrong. If it is correct, it is correct. But generic collection says you cannot do anything anywhere. I will restrict you. You have to follow the rules and regulations to collect the data, save the data, manipulate the data. So come here and make a function called using generic collection. Okay, I will tell you how we got two category in collection label. How we got two category in collection label. Similarly, we will get two categories in generic collection label. What is that? One is called list, one is called dictionary. That means list is index based and dictionary is key value pair based. But generic collection way. So first let's see list. Okay, first let's see list. How to use list. So I will name, okay, I will keep this Excel sheet also for you. Nothing much required, but still if you want. I will name it as collection versus generic collection. Okay, so coming to this, void, I mean static void using list. Okay, so whatever conceptual explanation I did, if by chance 5% doubts is there in your mind, it will clear here as well. Okay. First of all, you have to decide how many columns you want. Suppose this is your list. Okay, this is your list. Suppose you decide how many columns you want. This is called a wrong way of holding relational data. Which one? This one. Why not? I will write it somewhere here. Okay, this is a wrong way of holding relational data by collections. That means possibility is there to make this mistake. But correct way of holding the relation data is this one, generic collection. So I will say here correct way of holding relational data is generic collection. Short form gen collection I'm writing, you understand it, generic collection. So here what it should supposed to be, suppose this is roll number, suppose this is name, suppose this is marks, then you must define roll number with a type specific column, that is integer. You must define name with a type specific called string, and you must define marks with a type specific called decimal, etc. That is first thing. Second thing, if you did it this way, type specific, that's why I named this as type specific collection. Okay, if you do it this way, then if you are entering 1 here today and name is AAA, marks is 78.59, tomorrow you are coming and you are trying to write also 2 here, but here something like, you know, even though your string will allow, but that is wrong. So this kind of things you don't want to allow. So here it will be marks like something 89.5 and so on. So this is called a relational data. This is called simply collection of the multiple data. So DBMS in backend offers rules and regulations like this. It is just a comparison, guys. It doesn't mean that you will say collection is DBMS. I am comparing it for your understanding. So this side it is generic collection thing I am saying. This side it is collection I am saying. Okay. And here I will say in backend RDBMS like Oracle, MS SQL Server, etc. In backend offers rules like this. Just a comparison. Never say generic collection is RDBMS, collection is DBMS. Okay. I'm comparing because you can understand. You all know Excel, you all know at least MS Access. MS Access is RDBMS, guys. MS Access, Oracle, MS SQL Server, IBM DB2. Okay. So those are all RDBMS. But this is Excel is DBMS. So like Excel gives also structure of multiple data, but doesn't restrict relation. Similarly, your collection also allow you to store multiple data, but doesn't restrict for the relational concept. But RDBMS in database side, how it is differ than DBMS. Similarly, in front end side, generic collection is differ than DBM, collection. So that's the intention. Otherwise, there is nothing to talk with DBMS or DBMS here. Little bit distance I will keep it so that you will not, say tomorrow in definition itself, sir, collection is DBMS and generic collection is RDBMS. It's just a comparison, nothing else. A front-end object, how can be DBMS or RDBMS? It's just an object taking the space in random access memory only. Computer shutted down, that is gone. To store that data in database, you have to supply. So if front-end one structure and back-end one structure both are of same rules and regulations, then that is better. That's why if you are having SQL Server as a database backend and somebody is saying collect the data from screen and keep it in one C# object and pass it, then I will suggest go for generic collection object rather than collection object. Okay, so now let's implement this concept in our programming. I think usually Saturday and Sunday 1.5 hours we take, right? So I believe we can proceed. So here what we'll do is we will declare the collection first. So I mean generic collection first. Before that, I said how many columns you decide first. Imagine I want exactly this structure. Then how many columns? 3 columns, right? So prepare a class called entity class of 3 columns. Go to Solution Explorer, right click the solution or project, add class. Give the name of the class suitable to your data. Imagine your data is about student information, give it student, no problem. About employee information, give it employee. About product information, give it product. So I said student is my class name. This is called entity class, guys. Today, whatever I'm explaining based on this concept, there is one ORM called entity framework. Okay. It's not in our course. There is a separate module called ORM. But that technology is based on this entity class rules and regulations. That's why if you understand this better, going forward, if you are getting a chance to learn entity framework, then probably that will add more value to you. Okay, you can understand. So this is called entity class. Entity class means a class which is defining how many columns you have in your data structure and which column is of what data type. So if name of the entity class is representing your table, that means my table is student, then my column is roll name and marks, right? So your properties of that entity class will be defining each column. So I have to define 3 properties now: public, integer. I assume roll number is integer, so roll, get semicolon and set semicolon. Similarly, public, you want name as your second column and string as your data type. So string name get and set. Third is marks with decimal. So set public decimal marks get and set. Somebody will ask me, sir, why you didn't take variable? Why you decided to take property? Already in encapsulation itself we have much clarity about why somebody should prefer a data member to be property instead of a variable. Otherwise, if I will take variable also, my work will be done. So many things we have discussed, if you remember, read only, many things, helping to some other variable independently representing. Yeah, today your customer is asking, it is accessible to everybody. Tomorrow they said restrict it, read only to some guys. So all those stuff, you are opening the scope actually. That's why instead of putting a semicolon just after integer role, you are saying no, I will take it like just properties, how many columns I want, so that scope will be open for read only, read and write. Now come to actual class, which is our program class. Okay, here you create the object of list class, but remember list is available in system.generic. So using system.collections.generic, all generic collections are collections only, but all collections are not generic collections. That's why they kept generic namespace as a nested namespace inside collections. That's why you have to mention like this, system.collections.generic. If you want both to use in the same program, then you should give like this also, using system.collections. But this time I don't want to use both, I want to use only generic collections. So I gave collections.generic. Then come to the function. I said there are two types, just like our array list and hash table. Here also we have two types, one is called list, one is called dictionary. So first let's focus on the list. So using list, I used list generic, something like that I will name it. Okay, or generic list is the best, generic collection list. So I named it as using generic list. Okay, short form. So call this. Inside this function, first to create the object of list. Now in list you have to mention that student class name, entity class name. The moment you mention that entity class name, it will automatically understand this object called whatever name you give, xyz abc whatever. I gave lst student equal to new list of student. This angle bracket something is the generic concept. Meaning is, today I have all three columns in student class and I want that data structure in that structure only. So how many columns and what is their respective data type, already I have defined in the student class called entity class. If you mention that, now this LST student will behave like this. That means each row will have one roll number of integer type, one name of string type, and one marks of decimal type. So this line indicates that. Tomorrow you come and you say here department, it's okay if you have one entity class, but the class name is same only, list. Today it behave three columns in department data structure, tomorrow it may behave four columns in student data structure. Absolutely fine. So angle bracket indicates generic concept, means today something, tomorrow something, but list, which is the actual class, that will be same, only the entity class will be changed time to time. Now this time we have only one data structure called student list, so I made it like this. Then comes storing the data, because we don't know how to connect with the database as of now. Otherwise, perhaps I could have directly collected the data, SQL Server or Oracle, and then push it to LST student. In a single line, I could have done that. In a single line, I could have done that, because this is generic collection which is already predefined with 3 columns and their respective data type. My SQL Server is also having a table called student, let's say, and that is also having 3 columns with some rows. Perfectly fine. Both are of same data structure. So in a single line, I can collect the data and push it into LST student. But we don't know now how to connect with the database. We will see it later. But now at least what we can do, we can ask user to enter the data, or you can directly assign some data. Don't you think so? If directly you want to assign the data, then it will be something like this. You have to create one object of student class and then push it. Like I said, student object number 1 equal to new student. And this object number 1, obj1, will contain roll number as 101 or 1111, and obj1 dot name as something, obj1 dot marks as something. Makes sense? That means I prepare one record manually, because you don't know database connectivity. In front end itself, we prepare one record. If my LST student is as similar as a table structure, my obj1 is as similar as a record. Record means one row. Then that row I have to add it here, right? Like in database, you say insert into table name something something to insert the data into table. Here I have to say LST student dot add within bracket. Can you see? It is expecting student type data now, because I only define declaration of the generic collection at the top and say na it should have only object of student class. That's why it is saying you don't enter anything else. You pass your only student class object. So should I say here obj1? So this 4 line is as similar as preparing a record, and this last line 21 is as similar as inserting that record into tabular structure called LST student. So you compare like this, it will be easier to understand. So in this line, you prepare a tabular structure just like this, say you prepare something like this, but not yet entered anything, just prepared like this, and decided that there will be something called roll number, there will be something called name, and there will be something called marks, like this. Which line? This line, line number 15. Combine together these 4 lines, 17, 18, 19, 20. You just prepared some data, something like this. 1 as roll number, name as AAA, and marks as something. You just prepared this, conceptualize this, but you have not yet inserted this here in this structure. So that is this one. And last line 21, it says you have one record ready, you have one table structure ready, then why you are waiting for? Why don't you insert it there? So you brought it and put it here. This activity is your line number 21. Make sense? That means we can say I define the structure of the front end tabular data structure, and also I inserted one record to that front end data structure. I am not using database word, data structure, because database means it is backend, guys, hard disk, not random access memory. Currently we are talking about random access memory, not hard disk. Okay, whenever you store the data, where it is storing, whenever you create the object, where it is reserving the memory? Obviously random access memory. So definitely comparing with SQL Server, but it doesn't mean that currently it will connect with SQL Server. Now I will copy paste this 2-3 times. Difficult task, definitely. 100 rows means should I copy 100 times? Yes, of course, because manually you are doing now. When you will learn database connectivity, you will collect it from database and push it into LST student in a single line. But we have to do it manually now. So I said, please create object 2, and object 2 roll number, name and all should be different. So let me rename it, and here I will say 112. Here I'll say something like BBB, and marks is something like 90.5, and LST dot add up obj2. Okay, similarly obj3, and here I will say something like 113, something like CCC, anything you can give, not necessarily it has to be a sequence only. It can be integer also, I can say like this, and obj3, yes, done. So what exactly I did from line number 17 to line number 33, I prepared 3 records and I inserted that also. That means this is ready now. Maybe marks is maybe different. I'm just putting something. That means we prepared now this in the random access memory, not in hard disk. Mentioning again and again, don't confuse. In random access memory only. Now, this is called declaration of generic collection. This is called assigning value to generic collection. Then matter comes is, if you want to display it on the screen, how to display? Okay, if you want to display it, simply remove and all we'll see later, remove, replace, etc. But simply declare, accept and display. Like in array we understood 3 steps: declare the array, accept the value, display the array. Similarly, if I want to display, what should I do? For each loop, or you better write a sentence like console.writeLine, entered values in generic list is so and so. If you want to give a line break, give /n. Now tell me what should be this for each loop. For each. Okay, everybody know for each loop syntax, guys? So always inside for each, very first part, what it comes inside bracket? Data type, right? So this time what should be data type here? Who can suggest me? List of student is entire list. When I say entire list, this is this one. So if I will say list of student, then entire table am I picking at a time? List of student means entire table, right? Simply student. Okay, because when we are looping through, at a time one row you are collecting, guys. First you are collecting this one. After that process is done or displayed, then you are collecting this one. You are doing like this, right? At a time you are not collecting everything. So list of student you will not write, rather you will write student. So every time when I will loop through a list of students, I will get object of a student. That's why student. Then whatever, let's say obj in what I will give? LST student. Simple. Because always after in whole element we give, before in we give only single element, right? That is what I did. So if I will target whole element as LST student, my single element is one row only. First time this row, second time this row, third time this row. So each row is object of student class, don't you think so? This is obj1, this is obj2, understand it. This is obj3. When I inserted like this only, I inserted na, obj1 add to list, obj2 add to list, obj3 add to list, but whole structure is LST student, isn't it? That's why after in you have to give LST student, but before in you have to give obj1, obj2, obj3 data type. But obj1, obj2, obj3, it's not a primitive data type, it is a class type. That's why what class type, that you have to mention. Okay. Now obj, when first time loop will run, from LST student it will pick up record number 1. That means, don't you think this obj will have 3 things inside it? Don't you think so? obj1 itself will have 3 things inside it. One is roll number, one is name, one is marks. Don't you think so? Because this time it's not a primitive data type, it's an object of a class. So console.writeLine, suppose you want to display like this, all 3 things you want to display like this: 0 position, then you want to give some /t to tab space, then you want to display 1 position, then again you want to give /t. /t means tab space, guys. Between one data to another data I want to give some tab space, just for better representation. Otherwise without /t also you can do. See what will happen, 111, suddenly after that it will start AAA. I want between 111 2 times tab should be pressed, then AAA, because it's console application, right? If it could be web application, perhaps all these things we need not to do. There is already tabular structure available, but here everything manually you have to display on the screen. So 0th position whatever you display, give 2 tab. For 1 position whatever you display, give 2 tab, like that. Now first position, 0th position, I want to display obj dot roll number. Make sense? Obj dot name, obj dot marks. Who didn't understand? Okay, I will close the class after 2 minutes, because some people might be having office. Okay, so here I displayed all 3. Then I will write, if you want you can write some heading also here, like this: console.writeLine, I'll write roll /t name and /t marks, like that, just for heading purpose, so that it will look good, not a restriction. That means at the top I gave one heading, roll name and marks, in the same sequence I displayed here also. Okay, now let's call this function, already called, so put a breakpoint here and execute it. So if you see now, it will say count is 1. Why? Because only one object we have put into it. If you'll go inside that object called 0th object become like this. Similarly, F10, that means second object created, and inserted, third object created and inserted. So now if you will check, your LST student is count 3. Inside that, count 3 means record 3. 0th position, these are the records. 1 position, these are the records. 2 position, these are the records. Absolutely fine. You have pushed the data respectively in the random access memory. Then you came here. You just display some heading as of now, like this. Okay. As of now, you just display some heading like this. But actual loop is going to display the data. Heading should not be repeated. Data should be repeated. That's why heading I put before the loop. Data I keep inside the loop. So first time loop executed. Now check obj values are what? 111, 98.5 and so on. Because I picked up record number 1. Similarly, I picked up record number 2. I picked up record number 3. Then done. Then any more data is not there. Now see the output window. Okay. It displayed roll number, name and marks. How we collected from random access memory. Similar way we display it in the screen only. Microsoft class, yes, you are right. Generic collection namespace it is containing. Obj is not your class. It is object name. XYZ, anything you can give. Student is the class, which is our entity class. So LST student is containing so many objects of student class. So when looping one by one object, we are picking and pushing here, picking and pushing here. So first time when loop run, obj1 will be picked up and stored in obj. Second time when loop will run, obj2 will be picked up and pushed in obj and so on. User defined one. Even in array also, XYZ you are giving user defined one only, no, in this position. Anything else? Correct. Terminology is same only. But when you go little in depth, then feature varies. Collection as a container, if you are using, those features are applicable. Generic collection as a container you are using, these features are applicable. You know, so something additional what I showed in this Excel sheet, all are container only. Even variable is a container also. Okay, but their features are improving slowly. Same. Correct. You are right. If you take the mouse to that class name, it will tell you where it is available. For example, suppose I am taking this mouse to student. Let me stop this solution. If you take the mouse to that student, it will tell you, hey, it is inside a class. That class is inside a namespace called using underscore generic collection. That means we understood that acha, this is my class, my namespace only. But if I'll take the mouse to list, if you see, it will say this is inside system.collections, inside that generic. Okay. Yeah. When we will go to ASP.NET and MVC, etc., there this loop will be replaced by grid view. Okay. That's why manually we are planning all heading, line, underline, etc. That time no need. This part also will be replaced by one line grid view ID with data source equal to this generic collection ID, whatever LST. Then it will automatically prepare that table structure and give it to you on the screen. Okay. So this time we have no database connectivity, nothing. So that's why, definitely putting some extra efforts, but some data has to be stored. Then only we have to display it. That's why manually we are storing it. All right.